I bought a house with a realtor working for Keller Williams, whose name is Samantha Parker, and she was supposed to be acting as my realtor. As soon as I had her put an offer on this house, she was de facto acting as the agent for the seller. And she referred me to a lawyer, Brittany McMahon, who didn't read any of my documents and didn't act on my behalf. By the time I noticed that she wasn't about to do anything and dismissed her for lack of due diligence, it was already so close to the closing that I was in a really difficult situation to decide either to back out of the house in a tight market or to take a chance and move in. So I had a Keller Williams agent, Samantha Parker, show me a bunch of houses, and then we finally found one that I liked. And she had a couple of contacts that she wanted me to use for a lawyer and a bank. Well, actually, I found the bank by myself, but they all happened to know each other. And as soon as I put the offer in on the house, she was basically working for the seller, and it was the most disrespectful with a smile kind of thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm a new home buyer. I'm single. I have a very demanding job. I just couldn't even keep up with everything that was happening. And as a result, I'm actually putting the house back on the market now. It's just too much for me to handle. It was the wrong house, and there's a lot of things. There's lead paint on 10. The front of the house has replacement windows and the back of the house doesn't. So there's 10 windows, and I bought one of those EPA approved lead paint tests the other day. It's definitely lead paint. It was bright pink, and there are things that the inspector found that she didn't even bring up with the seller because the seller's lawyer didn't. They had to do some mold remediation in the attic because the sellers had put a bunch of plastic bags filled with quilts in there that got moldy and spread mold to the ceiling. So they said, well, wait till the FHA inspector comes, because I have an FHA loan, to see if to do any more repairs. So I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and meanwhile I started to notice that the lawyer she recommended to me wasn't reading documents. So I had a Solar City contract, and I couldn't get any information out of her on it. She kept just saying, take it or leave it, that kind of thing. So finally I started to do my own research, and I was getting more and more annoyed. And this is like after a month has gone by. And then I dismissed her for lack of due diligence. And then after I got a new lawyer, I realized that who was really appalled that none of these repairs had been suggested. And I realized that she hadn't even mentioned any repairs to anyone. So, and then the other thing I thought about the other day is when we were making the offer on the house, the real Samantha was automatically put seller's concessions in. So if I paid $189.9 for the house, there was a $2,000 concession. And it turns out, you know what, I didn't need that concession. That was just the bank making extra money, because the sellers didn't get that money, and I didn't need that money. So she was making sure that her friend over at the bank got her money, and that the person I was working with, the bank, had told me that there are a lot of people for mortgages, and there weren't enough houses to go around, so they sort of needed to approve mortgages. And then the FHA inspector turned out to be, there was no FHA inspection. It turned out to be the bank appraiser with a checklist that he never even tried. He never even went over the report. He just did the estimate on the house and checked off everything. And meanwhile, there's peeling paint everywhere, which is supposed to be a big red flag. So I feel like the bank wanted to push it through without anybody making a peep. The realtor was pushing it through. She had a lawyer who was colluding with her. And by the time I noticed everything, it was too late, and I had to make this calculation to go forward with the purchase. And then, because I had spent all this money already on all of these inspectors and all of the title searches that this expensive law firm had done. And so I decided to try it. And it was a mistake. I should have backed out of the deal, because then I started to really backtrack and see how terrible everything was. Right now, I have been really over my head in all these things about the house, and what I'm going to do, what I'm in the process of doing, and I'm trying to find out what my recourse is here. So I'm preparing a complaint to the New York State Board of Realtors, and when that complaint is finished, and the reason that it's taken a while is because I'm trying to get some estimates on what it would cost to do lead abatement on the windows. And it's hard to get a painter who's certified in that to come over. I've had like 3 of them cancel appointments already. So as soon as I get that estimate, then I'm going to approach Keller Williams to see if they'll do anything. Now, Keller Williams, I have a friend who's a plumber. There was a plumbing problem in the basement right away. Just the drain outlet was clogged. And he said that Keller Williams is the one in this area who has that has the most complaints against it. So there are honest realtors in the capital region, but Keller Williams really promotes this kind of dishonest behavior by promoting the agents who, cut corners and don't act on behalf of the clients.